welcome back to the show. If you're anything like me, you love springtime. The days get longer, the birds sing to attract other birds they want to fuck, and Joe Biden finally makes up his damn mind about running for president. And even though he just joined the race, he's already in the lead.
Biden is the clear frontrunner. As of now, 39% of Democrats say Biden is their top choice.
In a way, it's good that Biden is the front runner, since it's safer to have him in front of you than behind you. Before Biden officially announced, he was already facing questions from women who said they were uncomfortable with their physical interactions with him. I mean, come on, Joe, it's so simple. Just don't touch people in creepy ways. If that's too hard, keep your hands busy with a Rubik's Cube or by practicing your nunchucks. Or if all else fails, there's always the finger trap option. But honestly, maybe none of that will even matter, because the media have already decided that Biden has the most important quality of all.
Joe Biden leads the polls for the Democratic primary because he's the most electable Democrat.
The reason why somebody like Joe Biden's at the top of that ticket is people see him as the most electable.
He is the most electable Democrat to take on Trump.
Democrats think Joe Biden is electable overwhelmingly.
The most electable person in the race.
The electability of Joe Biden.
The most electable.
He's very electable.
They want the most electable candidate, which I think would be Joe Biden, who I call Jeb Biden.
No, Jeb Biden is a horrifying crossbreed politician who smells your hair while asking you to clap. For some reason, it's always white men who are deemed the most electable, even when voters may prefer someone else. A recent CBS survey found that Democrats actually prefer a hypothetical black candidate over a white one and a female candidate over a male, and many would vote for Elizabeth Warren or Kamala Harris if the primary were held today. But when the question is, who can win, the female candidates take the biggest hit. Sure, why elect our first woman president when we can finally elect our first openly train-loving president? Somehow, Joe Biden is considered Mr. Electable, even though he managed to not get elected the last 2 times he ran for president. In 2008, he dropped out after failing to get even 1% in the Iowa caucuses. And way back in 1987, he was forced to drop out of the race over charges of plagiarism. Joe, you can't be president if you plagiarize. The best you can hope for is to be first lady. The crazy thing about the fixation on electability is that it can turn voters away from the candidates who actually get elected.
These women can claim an interesting distinction. They have never lost an election in their political careers. All of the most prominent male Democratic candidates, Biden, Pete Buttigieg, Beto O'Rourke, Bernie Sanders, Cory Booker, have all lost at least one.
That's right. These guys have suffered defeat at every level, from Biden's presidential flops to Beto's Senate failure to Bernie's daily struggle with that goose that keeps snatching the USA Today from his porch. Female candidates are locked in a vicious cycle. If we don't think they can win, they don't get any coverage, and if they don't get any coverage, they can't win. We don't hear much about Kamala Harris's plans to combat gun violence, or Kirsten Gillibrand's ideas for campaign finance reform, or Amy Klobuchar's proposals on substance abuse and mental health, or Elizabeth Warren's plans for goddamn everything. But I'm sure the frontrunner has lots of detailed ideas.
I'm going to talk to you a lot about what I'm going to do as president, but I'm not going to take the whole time now. We'll lay out all the details, and I'm going to release a plan. I don't have time. I don't want to keep you standing any longer. I have so much more to say, but I'm not going to say it because I've already kept you standing too long. And I'm going to be very clear about it as I move along and go into great detail as we get down the road here, because this is a marathon. And I don't want to keep you standing a long, long time, even sitting a long time. I think health care is a right, not a privilege. And I'm not going to go into it now in any detail because it's so hot in here, but let me tell you,
those are just some of the excuses he's used for not going into detail, along with having a case of the Mondays, needing to see a man about a horse, hot flashes, and wanting to beat that beach traffic. Biden would love to talk about policy, but the last thing he wants to do is waste a second of the audience's valuable time.
it's a cartoon from the New Yorker magazine. And it has a picture of a big, stout guy in a black turtleneck, a black beret, and a black mask on, and he's sitting at a table being interrogated, and there's a big bag, a burlap bag on the table with a $sign on it. And he's looking at the interrogator, and he said, "I'm sorry, how was I supposed to know he was a job creator?"
Oh my God, suddenly I do feel like I've been standing or sitting for so long. Of course, Biden also ranks high on the crucial measure of likability. And really, what's not to like?
Biden is already being criticized for helping to craft the 1994 crime bill, which has been blamed, of course, for fueling an era of mass incarceration.
He led the effort to ban forced busing as a way to desegregate public schools.
Abortion rights and sort of his unevenness in supporting that.
Biden will also face questions about his vote to authorize the Iraq War.
Anita Hill says Biden's recent call to her left her deeply unsatisfied.
Hey, Anita, it's Joe. Have you been for 27 years? Anyway, total coinky-dink. I'm running for president in a couple minutes. We cool about that time I threw you to the wolves? Not gonna listen to your answer. Catch you on the flip-flop. His lukewarm centrism has helped restrict abortion access, perpetuate the war on drugs, and shift the Supreme Court to the right. But the conventional wisdom is that Democrats must line up behind him because only he can win the working class, reinforcing the myth that working class is synonymous with white men. Now, I'm not saying Joe Biden is the worst guy in the world. That title belongs to Mel Gibson. But women and people of color make up the loyal Democratic base, and they are tired of being told to put their wishes aside so the party can beg for the votes of aggrieved white dudes who are on the fence about re-electing a racist goon. Besides, it's pointless to anoint a frontrunner. If 2016 taught us anything, it's that nobody knows anything. Back then, we thought Trump didn't have a chance, Jeb Bush was unstoppable, and the person with the most votes would win. We were so stupid. So let's stop trying to guess who everyone else likes and instead pick a candidate who actually want to be president, whether or not it's old Smeller here. We'll be right back.